Hey everyone, thank you so much for being here. Super excited to tell you a little bit more about Echo 3D and talk about how you can build 3D AR in various applications right now. Thank you so much for the event organizers for inviting me to speak. We're really excited to speak with you all. I'm Alon, I'm the founder of Echo. It's a cloud platform for 3D applications where we provide tools and our infrastructure for developers and creators like yourself to build AR, VR, and 3D applications at scale. I'm going to start by saying hello. I'm Lon. I did my master's in computer science at Columbia University here in New York, and did my undergrad in computer science and electrical engineering. So I'm a certified nerd and a big believer in the intersection between 3D and cloud technology. Today we're going to talk a lot about that. But before we start, I want to level set here a little bit. I'm going to use these terms a lot: virtual reality, augmented reality. So I just want to kind of define them together and make sure that we're on the same page. So virtual reality or VR is when everything around you is digital. You're fully immersed in a 3D environment, and everything around you is a kind of 3D generated kind of CGI construct. You're looking at the world through some headset that includes everything you're seeing, and you're controlling the world with your hands or a set of controllers. As opposed to augmented reality or AR, in which we still see the real world, but that world is being overlaid with digital content. We're looking at the world through some optical see-through, like glasses or some headset, or through a camera see-through like a phone or a tablet. And a really cool way to understand this is the amazing movie Space Jam, in which we have Michael Jordan being teleported into Looney Town. Everything around him is a cartoon. He's kind of fully immersed in this digital environment. That's a really good example of virtual reality of VR. As opposed to what we have later in the movie, in which we have the Looney Tunes coming to our world, playing around with like Jordan and Bill Murray and interacting in the kind of real life sport. And that's basically the differentiation. Either we are going to Looney Town or Looney Town is coming to us. VR versus AR. Now, this is obviously a comical example, but a real world example of that is something that you all probably know. Something like Pokemon Go is a good example for augmented reality, in which you have people running around interacting with digital monsters that are not really there. Um, or virtual reality when we have something like Beat Saber that people slash cubes based on the rhythm of the music in a fully kind of 3D generated environment, and everything around you is kind of a fully digital construct. Now, another example of this technology that's really close to my heart is my thesis project at Columbia University. The pun here is definitely intended. We took CT and MRI scans, converted them into 3D, and then placed them on these smart glasses for a physician to basically see the patient's heart floating above them during surgery. It was an amazing, amazing use case of augmented reality. The hashtag was AR in the OR. And it basically allowed the physician to get a 3D reference map of the patient's anatomy in real time. It was an amazing, amazing use case, really cool way to kind of integrate new technologies into the OR. But the problem was that in order to do this thing, I had to do something that I really, really hate, and that's waking up super early in the morning. I had to be at the hospital at like 6 a.m., take those 2D scans, convert them to 3D models, put them on the application, redeploy to the glasses. And that took so much time and so much effort. And as a developer, I only wanted to do two things. I wanted to manage 3D content and I wanted to deliver it to an Air device. And when talking to other developers who are building applications for other verticals like gaming and marketing and advertising and training and data visualization, everyone said the same thing. There's no easy way to manage and deliver 3D data. But if you think about it, this problem was kind of solved for 2D, right? If you're building a website, you can use something like Heroku as your cloud platform to store images and videos. If you're building a mobile app, you can use something like Parse or Firebase as your backend as a service. So we went from web to mobile to now 3D, AR, VR, immersive metaverse. And the question has to be asked, who's going to build the next kind of cloud platform to support this new type of content? And you've guessed it, that's Echo. So we are basically that cloud platform for 3D applications, providing tools and network infrastructure for developers and creators to build applications at scale. So today we're going to see how you can do that yourself, how you can kind of play around with assets, throw them to the cloud, see them on your phone right now live. So this is going to be really, really interactive. So before we jump into a demo, let's set some more terms. So again, the same way that you don't need to be a web developer to update a blog post, you can just drag and drop an image or a video. It's only that appears on web and mobile. Or if I'm in New York and you're in California and we're both watching an episode on Netflix, we automatically get the best streaming experience. So we translated these concepts into 3D AR, VR, metaverse, basically allowing you to manage and deliver 3D data and get the best 3D streaming experience. So, and what's interesting here is this kind of bidirectional connection between data and location, something that we don't have in 2D, right? You as a user, you can't move an image or a video on a website, but you can definitely move a avatar across the game or a 3D capture across the room, and that needs to be updated on the cloud. So what we've built here is this kind of 3D focused content management system and delivery network that is really, again, focused on 3D content and the optimization of 3D content to allow it to be delivered to all these devices anywhere. Now I'm going to jump into a demo, show you how it works. You can do this right now live with me while we're doing this workshop, or right after. You can basically watch this video, rewatch this video and kind of follow the instructions. And I'm going to share a few resources that you can kind of use to play around with the system. So let's jump in. You can register for an account for free on our website, which is www.echo3d.co, or use the link that we shared with the event organizers. Let's jump in. So after you register, you should receive basically access to our console. That's what you're seeing here on the left. And on my right, you're just seeing my phone. When you register, you get an API key. That's your project key. That's basically your kind of repository of 3D content. And you can have multiple repositories like that. So you can have a lot of collections of 3D assets. And as I mentioned, we have a lot of integrations with different platforms like Android and iOS and Unity, which is a very popular game engine that we'll later dive into, or Java or Swift, or even Niantic released this camera SDK for Pokemon Go-like experiences. We already have an integration with that. But let's start with something simple. Let's add some content to the cloud. So I'm going to click this button right here, and I'm going to add some content. It could be images, it could be videos, it could be 3D models. We also have a collection of over 75,000 free assets for you to use. You can literally just search for free inside the console. Let's start again. We mentioned New York, so let's start in the Empire State Building right here. What happens right now is that we take that 3D model, we convert it, we compress it, we put it on the cloud, and then we basically allow it to stream to any location out there. You'll actually be able to stream it to your phones right now with no installation needed. So check this out. So we have the Empire State Building right here. Originally, the file format is OBJ, but suddenly you can download it with other formats like GLB, USDC, whatever. It just means that our system made sure that this will work in any device out there. Now let's see it on basically on our devices. So I'm going to click this button right here, expose the QR code. If you're watching this live, you can scan this QR code right now. I'm going to do that with my phone. Again, no installation needed. Just put your phone in front of this, scan the QR code, and will redirect to a website. Again, no installation needed. It will open a web page that will basically allow you to see that 3D model in 3D and in augmented reality. So let's see how that works. So I just scanned it. Here's the Empire State Building right here. I'm going to click C in AR. The camera will open up. It scans the floor of our office, and there you go. Suddenly the Empire State Building just jumped to my screen. How cool is that? And again, I really encourage you, if you're watching this live, to do the same thing. Scan the QR code, have the Empire State Building just appear in front of you. If it's too big, just kind of pinch the screen a little bit to make it smaller. But how cool is that? I can just literally invoke the Empire State Building kind of in front of me. I can walk around it, walk inside. Super, super simple. How cool is that? Now, this is an example of surface recognition. The camera recognizes the floor and overlays that with the 3D model. Another technology support is image recognition that allows you to basically have the 3D model overlay a real-world anchor, like an image. It could be a magazine. It could be a billboard. It could be your business card. So I'm going to click this one right here. I'm going to click see on an image. At this point, the image anchor is this kind of QR code that, again, if you're watching this live, you can scan right now. This, again, redirects to a website, no installation needed. And now, instead of having the asset on the floor, it will actually anchor to this image. How cool is that? The Empire State Building just jumps out of my screen and allows me to kind of see it in augmented reality through my phone. Really, really quick. And again, you can do that too if you're watching this live. Perfect. So we saw assets on the floor. We saw assets on an image. Another cool thing that we really kind of are aware of in augmented reality is face tracking, obviously face filters and stuff like that. So it's something that we support as well. Again, click this button right here and now choose see on the face. Scan this right now. Again, if you're watching the slide, you can do it with me. I'm going to do it here with my phone. Scanning this QR code, redirecting to a website. It will open up. Now the front camera will be enabled, and now the real world anchor, kind of in the real world, will be my face. So kind of the Empire State Building is now a face filter. You can honestly do it with anything. You can do it with makeup, with any other kind of face, or like glasses, like any other kind of 3D model that fits your face, but basically face tracking will be enabled automatically through the browser. Perfect. So we saw how easy it is to just upload content to Echo and automatically instantiate all these really cool experiences. Let's see other things that you can do in real life, and then explore the console a bit more, and then jump into Unity, which is a game engine that a lot of developers love to use. So other things that you can do is you can add content and you can tag it to specific locations. So for example, I can add this kind of fox, and I can say, I want it to be specifically seen in New York. This is really cool, again, if you want to build Pokemon Go style experiences that are really tagged with locations. For example, I open the app, I see the Empire State Building in New York, but if I open it in San Francisco, I'm going to see the Golden Gate Bridge. So this is an extra layer of data that we have that you can basically see content in specific locations. Another example of content that we support, as we mentioned, is images, videos. So let's upload those as well. So I'm going to just upload just a 2D image right here that we can kind of upload. What's cool about Echo is that when we upload 2D images, we actually convert them to 3D stickers. And you can take those 3D stickers and basically, again, overlay them in augmented reality or show them on the space around you. We have a bunch of clients who are doing a lot of kind of try before you buy or NFT stuff, and they will upload a 2D trading card, and then bam, suddenly you have a 3D avatar, or like a kind of 3D trading card that you can kind of show people or put on the wall if an artwork. Another thing that we can upload is videos. So let's show that. And upload a video, and I'm actually going to choose at this point on an image, which basically means that the image marker that we'll have will be a custom image. You're able to basically use any image that you want to be that real world target. So let's see how that works as well. And while it's uploading, let me show you how the images are converted to 3D. So just going to allow that, and there you go. We have this kind of cool image of a maybe NFT lion. Automatically converts like a 3D sticker that you can put on the wall if you scan the QR code. So super, super cool. And same here applies for the video. Here we have a video, and now it's linked to an image. So when I scan the kind of when I scan the QR code, maybe let's do it together, it will actually lock into a specific image as opposed to the QR code. So let's see how that works. I'm going to leave it here again if anyone wants to kind of scan this in real time. So check it out, camera instantiates, but now the camera doesn't recognize the QR code anymore because it needs the image. So there you go, suddenly you have the image, and bam, the kind of video just appears out of thin air on the image because it recognizes the image, and I can play the video on top of that. How cool is that? Again, this image can be anything. You can overlay a advertisement on top of the magazine, anything you want. So really, really cool stuff. Perfect. So we saw how you can upload content. We saw you can see it on the wall, you can see it on the floor, you can see it on the face, you can see it on the image. Really, really, really cool stuff. Other things that you can do, maybe I'll clear the dashboard a little bit and just to kind of zero it out a little bit. Other things that you can do, as I mentioned again, is like just mobile apps as well. So we have a collection of sample apps that you can use. Super, super easy. If I have the Empire State Building here, I can just open this mobile app, the Echo 3D Go app, plug in the same kind of key, and the same data will just appear out of thin air. So we saw, again, we saw mobile, we saw web, and now we're seeing just a mobile app. And later we're going to see how you can do that in a fully fledged game engine as well. Check it out, super, super simple. The Empire State Building again just appears, and I just make it a bit smaller, and it's here with me. Now, the cool thing about Echo is you can also do real-time updates. So for example, I have this 3D model right here, but let's say I want to change it a little bit. So you can click this button right here, and it will expose the data panel. Each asset on Echo has this kind of their own database that is associated with it and gives it different properties. For example, if I want this model to rotate or animate or something like that, I can actually add some information here, like direction equals right, and bam, suddenly it starts rotating in real time in augmented reality. How cool is that? So this is a really simple example, but it's to show the power of the cloud, that you can kind of stream data almost like a push notification and tell the asset, I want you to start rotating right now. So this is, again, a really powerful tool, and it could be any kind of content that you want, any information. It could be levels in a game. It could be information about the users, anything you want, you can kind of store there, which is really, really cool. Another thing that I want to show you is basically that everything I did so far is also available through an API call, which means that you can also query the data as a coder and get information about the files right here directly. If you want to share the assets, you can always click this button right here. It will give you a short link to the 3D model itself. And this is very, very similar to scanning the QR code. It just gives you like the short link that redirects directly to the model. Perfect. So we saw how you can kind of manage content. Let's dive into a little bit more how you kind of manage kind of data. So each model, again, has its kind of database, but we also have a global database that allows you to add data across your entire application and query that as well. Again, this is kind of the power of the cloud, allowing you to connect your app to a database really, really quickly. You can monitor your subscription, basically see how much bandwidth, storage, and API calls you're using. You can monitor the locations of all the assets that you have in the app, where your distribution of content, what servers are supporting applications, and where your users are coming from. You can control the security of your app, basically add users, add collaborators to your project, add sub-projects, enable security features. You can see insights on how your kind of content is performing. For example, we stream that Empire State Building, we see a spike in usage. And we can see how our content is performing across every application, which is really, really cool. And again, monitor users anywhere in the globe. Another cool thing that we offer enterprise customers is basically a way to convert and compress assets. For example, if I know that I have a lot of users in a location that their bandwidth isn't that good or their internet connectivity isn't that stable, I can decide I want this model decimated and quality reduced by, let's say, 35%, basically giving a smaller compressed version of the file. It still looks pretty good, almost exactly the same, but the file size is a bit smaller and the textures are compressed. You can also decide that you want to compress in different compression algorithms or create a 2D thumbnail. That's everything, again, just with one click or an API call. Another thing that we allow is to basically customize assets. For example, you have this 3D model. We see that a lot of people are doing kind of NFTs in 2D, creating different variations. So you can do that in 3D as well. We have this 3D model right here. If we decide that we want to make it red and we want to change the asset, we can do it right here. And then that will reflect automatically in the app because we have these kind of real-time changes. So this is a really, really cool and powerful tool to customize and make your app a long-lasting campaign because you can basically change it on the fly. Another cool page that we have is the customize page. This allows you to customize the web AR experience, so add buttons, add interactions, and stuff like that. So for example, I can add a button like, let's do buy now if you are doing something for e-commerce, and a link to Google, and then that button basically overlay the experience automatically. So we can see that here. If I reopen that web page, refresh it, we'll see just a button just was added to the experience. There you go. If I click it, it redirects to the website that I want. And you can add your logo. You can have like a lot of functionality to basically overlay the content. You can also add music and a background image, and really, really, again, customize the experience in order to make it yours. Another cool feature that we have is the advanced editor. This basically allows you to kind of add assets together, merge them, create this kind of virtual scene. I already had this kind of cool scene with the fox I added earlier and the building kind of close together. So you kind of basically create your own scene inside Echo. So you don't have to go back to something like Blender or Maya, wherever you created your 3D model, to kind of merge things around. Another powerful page is our tutorial page. This is filled with a lot of examples of projects that you can use right now. They're all open source. And some of them are doing a 3D, AR, VR, face tracking, surface tracking, wall tracking, a lot of really cool things like this really cool makeup tutorial that one of our engineers did in the past. Really, really cool stuff around how you can kind of basically use 3D content to your advantage. And my favorite page is actually the inspiration page. This is filled with amazing examples of all these AR, VR use cases that people use Echo for. Here we have some examples of a menu visualizer, or the NFT project that I mentioned, or a murder mystery game, or a really cool art installation that people build a kind of underwater aquarium that basically allowed kids to see things through virtual headsets. There's really, really cool stuff, or this project that we did for Verizon. Really, really, really cool stuff. They use, again, 3D in cameras and in phones and web browsers. So definitely kind of look at this page, get inspired of what our community of developers have built, and see again how you can kind of leverage 3D content to your advantage. So I really recommend that you kind of go through this page a little bit and kind of get inspired what people are building. Perfect. So now that we've done a lot of these things that we've done so far are really non-technical. We dragged and dropped the asset. We kind of were able to click a few clicks, scan QR codes, and everything worked automatically. Now we're going to do something that is a bit more technical, but again, not that technical. And we'll kind of use Unity, which is the game engine, to build a fully fledged app. So let's see how that works. So this is Unity. It's a game engine a lot of developers love to use. It has our SDK kind of that you can download right here, kind of pre-built. But as you can see, it's an empty VR scene. There's nothing here. If I plug in our API key and press play, data will stream from the cloud to the game engine. So as opposed to what we had earlier, that we had the asset streaming into the phone, now we have that streaming into the game engine, and voila, that same spinning building that we had earlier just appears out of thin air right here. I can decide that I want it to stop spinning. I'll just click this button right here. It stops automatically because again, we have this kind of push notification mechanism that constantly updates the app in real time. But let's decide that we want to build a virtual city or something like that. So let's add a building right here. Again, things are just updating in real time. We'll see the building basically jumping into the scene in just a sec. There you go. And it's super, super simple. So the cool thing about Echo is, again, that you can kind of decide how to control the application remotely, add content, it will appear automatically. If I stop the application from running, everything disappears because, again, nothing actually persists on memory. Everything is coming in from the cloud, and you're in full control. This means that your app is going to be super, super small when you build it. And users, when they actually kind of download their applications, they're also going to just download a really small app because the assets are not actually built in part of the build. But again, if I press play, everything will instantiate in exactly the same structure. So you're going to see the exact same app. There you go. Suddenly here, the building is 10 feet away, and we see both the things because, again, what we have is a content kind of content management system that is stateful, like a stateful content management system that allows you to recreate the scene exactly as it was. Let's see another kind of now it's kind of a simple code example, and then dive into like a more robust coding example real quick. So every asset that is instantiated through Echo has the kind of custom behavior script attached to it. It's a really cool script that basically in Unity format that allows you to control everything about your application. And you can add anything to your asset. It could be any feature, functionality that you can kind of control remotely, basically. So if you know C# or any other kind of object-oriented language, perfect. If not, don't worry, it's not that difficult. Basically, you have two functions here. One is the start function, evident by its name, happens when you start the application. And the other function is the update function. Remember, you're coding in 3D. So this application actually runs every single frame. It basically, a 3D scene is almost like a video being rendered live. So we have something that runs every single frame. This means that this function needs to be super, super well optimized, because if it's not, it might be the case that your application will hang or get stuck if this function gets stuck. Let's focus on the start function right now. What we have here is that we're adding some information, some kind of functionality to our asset, and we ask, do I have any additional data? If so, do I have a name? And if I have a name, let's set that name to the name that I want, set the name of the object to that. So let's see how that works in practice. So I have the skyscraper here, but if I decide to change it to, I don't know, let's do name equals Kevin, and press play, data will stream from the cloud to the game engine. And now that snippet of code, when we started the application, will run, and we'll be able to see suddenly that the building is named Kevin. How cool is that? Super, super simple. Now, if I want to change it to Sam, for example, nothing happened. Why is that? Because that snippet of code only happens when you start the application. So if I'll restart the application, that will actually work and basically run that snippet of code again, ask for a name, and set that name to Sam in this case. Very good. How can we make it happen every time? How can we make it sure that if it changes, we'll know? So some of you probably guessed it. We're going to move this snippet of code from the start function to the update function, basically making it work every single frame. This is almost like an infinite while loop or kind of an infinite for loop that basically does that process every single frame. So let's see how that works in practice. The code will kind of recompile really quickly, and we'll be able to kind of run the same code. But now every single frame, we're going to ask, do I have a name? And if I have a name, we'll reinstantiate that name to the asset. So let's see how that works. There we go, pressing play. Data again streams from the cloud to the game engine super quickly. And voila, suddenly if I have Sam and I change it to Kevin, that changes automatically as well. How cool is that? So really simple stuff. Okay, so we saw a really quick example. Maybe I'll show a more complex example right here. And just to kind of show you how you can build like a more robust application. So let's see, I'm gonna delete these assets right here. I'm gonna upload an asset from local storage. Let's do that. I have a 3D model right here. Wait, my Unity flaked on me, so let's see if we can open it. So what I'm going to show you right now is how you can upload like an asset from local storage and also attach a CSV file, basically pre-adding all these kind of keys and values to it. So if you upload a CSV file to the asset, it will work automatically with it. So I'm going to add that as well. There we go. Uploading to our cloud. Again, same thing occurs. We're just like processing that and allowing it to basically take those take that information into account. And I'm also going to swap the custom behavior script under the hood right here to basically have like a more robust code base. So let's throw that in as well. There you go. So let's review the code a little bit. So now we have a much more robust kind of code base. Let's review together a little bit. So suddenly we have a collection of continents, we have a dictionary, we have a data set. The start function looks pretty much the same. The update function is much more interesting now. We have a function that asks, do I have any additional data? If I do I have a scale? If I do, I can iterate over all continents and ask, do I have some information about these continents? If I do have information, let's create a graph. Let's give it a color, give it a name, give it a location, give it some transformation. And if we don't have information, we can destroy the graph or not show the information. So let's see how that works in practice. We're basically building this kind of COVID visualizer in VR together. So now that we have the asset right here and all the information is already preloaded, if I run that now, our kind of new application right here, again, pressing play, data will stream from the cloud to the game engine. And now we'll have, again, this application that runs that code that we have. And voila, check this out. Suddenly we have bar graphs. We have the Earth right here spinning. How cool is that? So literally in just a few seconds, we're able to build this really cool kind of COVID visualizer just with just a few clicks. And if you want to update any information, for example, the number of cases in Antarctica raised from 1 to 10, bam, that automatically reflects. If I delete Antarctica, it just disappears. How cool is that? So I really encourage you to take those kind of open source examples, play around with them, expand them if you're building a project. Because again, this is super easy, and you should be able to build applications really easily. And you can also, again, because everything is available through API, you can connect this app to, let's say, the WHO, the World Health Organization API, and have data appear in real time. And really, again, you're limited only by imagination of what you can build. Perfect. So let's recap a little bit. I'll share some resources. We saw how you can kind of play around with the console. We saw you can play around with Unity. You can obviously change scheme, dark being the default. We have our documentation, our GitHub page, our Slack channel. Really cool kind of really cool resources that you should definitely use. Here's our documentation. It's a step-by-step guide of everything I just did. So definitely kind of go through it, interact with it, and kind of understand how you use the platform. But these are really powerful kind of these tutorials and guides that basically guide you to do exactly what we just did today. Our GitHub page has like so many examples of amazing projects that you can use for Unity and Unreal and web. So definitely explore that as well. We have our Slack channel. This is where our community resides. Definitely join. It's a really great place to kind of connect with fellow creators, ask questions, ask support questions. I'll be there as well to kind of monitor some questions after this talk if you want to kind of say hello. So let's jump into the slides and recap a little bit. So what do we see? Do we see that as developers, you can choose any platform? As creators, you can do a lot of no-code stuff, just drag and drop your assets, and Echo allows you to build, store, and deliver those assets anywhere in the world. We saw how developers save time and money in building applications, how content creators need technical skills, and how you can basically, as a company, send data all over the globe with just using Echo. We talked about use cases of 3D, like surgery and marketing and gaming and advertising and training. And we saw the inspiration page that is filled with amazing examples of what you can build in 3D. And again, this is really the time to build. So get inspired, start building really cool things with 3D content. A little bit more about us as a company. We won a bunch of awards and we're backed with some of the most amazing investors in the country. And we're there for every kind of major tech event. So if you're, now that COVID is done, if you're going to some tech event and you see our team, please say hello. We really love to say that we empower people to build applications across any platform. So again, start building. This is the time to build and create really cool scalable applications in 3D. Make sure you register. Again, you can register for free on our website, which is www.echo3d.com, or use the kind of a link that we provided to event organizers. But again, start building. This is definitely the time to create really engaging applications with an amazing wow factor. Thank you so much for attending this talk. Really appreciate the time. Start building. If you have any questions, my email is here. You can reach out freely. But again, start building. And thank you so much, everyone. Really hope you enjoyed this.